Okay, let's go over proof number 1 on the test here was an algebra proof. Okay, so we're given this equation. We have to prove x is 1. So as far as our given information goes, we're going to start with the equation that we're given. And then we're just going to take the steps in solving this and show at the end of our proof here that we actually solve for x to equal 1. Okay, so we're given this equation here. So algebraically, the next thing that we're going to do, or the first thing that we do, we have 2 times this quantity, 5x plus 7. So that means that we have 5 x's and we have a positive 7 as far as x terms and what we call constants, numbers. So if we double this quantity, now we have 2 groups of 5 x's, or we have 10 x's. So we're going to distribute the 2 to the x's here, so we have 10 x's after we double this quantity, which means then we double our 7's and we also get 14. Right? So that property is what's called the distributive property. And after you do that, we get that 2 times 5x is 10x, 2 times 7 is 14. We didn't do anything to the right side, so there's nothing to change there. And the algebraic move that we did was a property known as the distributive property. Okay, so the next part of solving this thing is we need to get our constants and our x's on one side. And so if I subtract 10 x's to both sides here, then I'm getting rid of all my x's on the left side. And after I take away 10 x's from the 15 x's on this side, we're going to have 5 x's left on this side. Because remember, the addition property of equality says what you add to one side or subtract from one side, we can subtract to the other side. So it's actually the subtraction property. So let's do that. Let's subtract 10x, writing with my touchpad here, to both sides. As long as we subtract the same thing, we're good. Okay, so if we do that, we subtract 10x to both sides, then what we end up getting is we took away all the x's here, so there's no x's left on the left side, and we were just left with the 14 constant here. And then we had 15 x's, and then we took away 10 of the x's, so now we have 5 x's left on the right side here, plus our constant of 9. So now that we got our x's, now that we got our x's on the right side of our equation, let's get this constant moved over by adding the opposite, or subtracting that quantity. So again, we're going to use the subtraction property of equality here, and we're just going to subtract 9 to both sides. Okay, 14 minus 9, we need to know what that is. That's 5x. Okay. And then when we take away all the 9, all 9's here, we have nothing left, and we just have the 5x term left, right? So we have 5. 14 minus 9 was 5. And we're left with the 5x's on the right side. So 5 times what number is 5? The answer is 1. So to undo this algebraically, we just divide both sides by 5, by what we're multiplying our variable by. And 5 divided by 5, 5 goes into 5 once. So we have 1 equals x. There we go. So the division property, if we divide both sides by 5, because I want to undo this multiplication of 5, what we divide to one thing, we have to divide to both sides. We get 1 to equal x. And you can end your proof there. Or if you like to see your variable first, you could use what's known as the symmetric property of equality, which just says if 1 equals x and x equals 1, we can just flip the sides, and it's still the same thing. So there is how we proved that given this equation, x has to be 1 for both sides to equal each other. And algebraically, just a little extra note here, what this really means is that if you put in a 1 for x, the left side is going to equal the right side, right? So let's try this here. If x is 1, we're going to take that times 5 here, right? And then on the right side here, we have 15 times x, so we're going to put in that 1 for x here, and let's see what we get. So 5 times 1 is just 5, and then 5 plus 7 is 12, right? And we have, remember, 2 times this quantity, so we have 2 times 12, which is 24. So when x is 1, this left side equals 24, and I bet you the right side is going to equal 24, and 15 times 1 is 15, and 15 plus 9 is 24. So that is the solution. So we were just proving that x equals 1 is the answer here.